Greetings, Internet people. Ranting Ramsey here. I'm going to break habit a little bit today. I'm going to go outside of my norm and change my MO for the day. Wow, that was really redundant. I said the exact same thing 3 times in a row. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to answer a question via video that was asked of me in private message, and the same day, in fact, actually less than 2 hours after it was done. I guess I'll go ahead and I'll file this as a rant request. I hadn't decided that when I had clicked on the record button, but I guess I'll go ahead and make this a rant request. So sorry I haven't verbally mentioned your name. I can't think of what it is off the top of my head, and if I open a browser window, it'll cause everything to get laggy and the audio to get out of sync. So you'll have to do with a channel link in the description. Anyway, and I'm actually going to go ahead and read your parts of your question on the video. I hope you don't mind that. But he sent me this message that said, I've been watching your videos and I caught the one about the obese woman attempting to become the largest woman in the world, and you weren't happy about it. Now I'm going to actually pause right there. I'm going to address that point. I know I didn't do a good job of really clarifying this, but what I was unhappy about was the whole media horror situation that she was trying to create out of it. Now, if an adult wants to become the most obese person in the world, I'm not really going to sit in judgment upon them as a person. I will question the health, the validity of the health risks of someone who's willing to make that decision, and would happily ask them if they realize that they're going to kill themselves in the process of that. But I'm not going to sit there and judge them as a horrible person for wanting to be fat. What I was really kind of judging them as a horrible person for was for the fact that they wanted to make themselves a media whore out of it, was what my problem was, specifically. I mean, if you're an adult and you want to be obese and you're happy with that, then as long as you're comfortable with the health risks, then by all means, go ahead and be fat. But then he actually proceeds. It says, my question is, what are your thoughts on childhood/teenage obesity? I figured I'd pick child because obesity itself is quite the broad subject, and I have a few obese teen friends who I've spoken to about this. So I honestly, for the most part, when it comes to the children, like the younger children that you see that look like little Pillsbury Doughboys or whatever, I honestly place all the blame on the parent. At that point in the child's life, if they're that obese, it's because their parents just don't care, don't understand the risks, or don't know how to say no to their child. I grew up in a household where if I wanted something to eat, if it wasn't near when I should be hungry, you know, or if I hadn't been, like if I sat around all day playing with my Legos and then at 10 o'clock in the afternoon came to my mom and said, I want something to eat, she would say, it's only 10 o'clock, you haven't done anything all day. No. But now if I had immediately went outside and been riding my bike around all day and came back home at 10 o'clock covered in dirt and road rash and all kinds of other things and said, Mom, I'm hungry. She looked at me and said, wow, it looks like you've been through hell and back. You probably are hungry. You've used a lot of energy. And she gave me some carrot sticks or some celery and peanut butter or something like that. And I ate it. I didn't have Ho-Hos and all that shit in my lunch as a kid. I had maybe a package of yogurt-covered raisins with my ham sandwich and my apple. There was never Doritos, and there was never soda or anything like that for me growing up as a kid, and I grew up pretty fit. And as I grew into an adult, as I got to be a teenager, you know what? Once I could make a few more of my own food choices, sure enough, I ate lots of candy bars, and I drank all kinds of soda because my mom would never give me this stuff as a kid. But once I got a job and I had my own money, even though I was 16 living in my mom's house, I'd go out and I'd spend it on junk food and stuff like that. But I was also staying active at the time. I was involved in a lot of our extracurricular activities that involved physical exertion. And so any of those calories and shit that I took on, I burned off relatively quickly. And that's the main fucking problem with all these childhood obesity issues, is that either somebody forgot to tell them that if you're going to take in all these calories, you need to burn them off, or somebody just never developed the ability to say, no, you can't have that bag of Doritos right now, or no, you can't have those 3 different freaking Hostess snack, Twinkie, whatever, you know. At some point in time, there was a parent that did not have the ability to understand the benefits of proper nutrition. And so they just let their kid, like, you see the cases where they would feed their child to keep them quiet, you know, and stuff like that. Excuse me. And so instead of parenting, they would feed their child. It's just like using the TV as a babysitter. Instead of being a responsible parent and taking their child outside to play when they've got some time to spend with their child, they pop in a Disney DVD, hand them a bag of Fritos and a pop, and sit them down and say, here you go, watch this. I'm going to go and be an irresponsible parent somewhere else and not have to actually engage in the rearing of my child. So as it pertains to childhood obesity, I blame the parents full on. It's really not the child's fault. And when I look at an overly obese young child, I don't sit there and say to myself, boy, that's disgusting. I say, poor fucking kid. Somebody needs to get that child away from their parents. It's almost, to me, seems like it should be the first reason for getting child services involved. I mean, of course, if you've got a child that comes to school bleeding and bloody and bruised every day, yes, get that kid out first. But then let's look at the obese children, because I think the obese children's parents are abusing their child not more, as much just about as a child that's getting smacked around, because really, in the long run, the obese child is at just as much of a health risk. And so, to quickly touch on teenage obesity, then at that point, one of my issues is with the education system, that obviously not enough dollars is being spent on health education, whereas a lot of these teenagers just don't realize that they need to exercise to burn off these calories and stuff like that. And then, of course, there's that level of apathy, you know, where in some certain circles in the teenage world, it's uncool to exercise, and if you want to go out and play a sport, oh, well, then you're a jock. And like me, I was in an extremely awkward position. I was in high school. I was a band nerd. I was an outcast. I was a freaking sports guy. So I understand that the social pressure these teenagers are under, that if they're in one social group and they start, you know what, I want to start playing soccer because I think it'll get some exercise and I'll be able to make some friends and have some fun. They do that at the risk of losing all the friends they already have, because teenagers are that judgmental. They're that quick to label things, even almost more so than adults are when our ultimate judgmental capabilities shine through. So that's really the roundabout long bit of it, is when it comes to childhood obesity, I blame the parents, because it's their fault that their child is overweight and at health risks. And then when it comes into teenage, I kind of blame a combination of the parents and the kid themselves, because it's like, look, you are at this point intelligent enough to make proper decisions and to understand the consequences of your actions. And that, but I do understand that that is the ultimate ongoing shortfall of the teenage demographic, is that even when I was a teenager, I was usually very unable to see the long-ranging consequences of my actions. If I could, there was a lot of things I probably would never have done. Anyway, so when it comes to teenage obesity, I kind of blame, I don't really want to say blame, I'm kind of looking at both people, parent and child, as a responsible party. And then I guess the older you get, the more it's all on your own head, because the information is out there. And there's no miracle diet that's going to make anybody thin. Some people think, well, if I just eat this type of thing, or if I just cut out carbs, every single freaking diet plan hinges on getting exercise. Doesn't matter what you eat. If you don't get off your ass and go out and do something, you're not going to lose weight. So that's pretty much all I have to say. I imagine this is probably in the neighborhood of 10 minutes by now, so I might have to chop this down and edit it or something. I don't know. That was the rant request. The requester's information is in in the description box. Ranting Ramsey. Have a good one, guys. Peace.
Hey, did you get all that, man?